Ladies and gentlemen, Tesla stock is up 5.3% at the time of recording this video. I promise you, I'm not a fortune teller, but it sure is starting to look like it. I've made some pretty wild predictions here recently for Tesla, and this 5+% day makes those a lot more likely. Now, here in this video, we will discuss what happened today, why Tesla is moving up over 5%. Now, if you're a little bit curious, if you're out of the loop a bit, I've made some wild predictions recently suggesting that Tesla could actually rally to maybe even $500 per share by this Friday. This is a short trading week, okay? You have a half day today. You have no trading tomorrow, and then you have a full day of trading on Thursday and Friday. From current levels, to get to $500 would be a 10% move higher. From Sunday's prediction, it was a 20% move higher that we needed. So I think we can personally do another 10% over the next 2 trading days. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And this is the last trading week of 2024. And as I've talked about before, it makes sense to why short sellers would cover on their short positions in Tesla to really take that as a tax loss harvest. Now, we've seen hedge funds and institutions tax loss harvesting other areas of our markets. Why would they not tax loss harvest on a short position like Tesla that has went completely against them, which is likely to continue to go against them into 2025? We've seen the degree of tax loss harvesting this year represented in the RSP. This is the most tax loss harvesting we have seen in a long time. I mean, the average stock in the S&P peak to trough fell almost 8%. So really, you've kind of already seen a correction. Okay, now first things first, we do have some news to get to, but before we get to that, I want to show you the option activity. The option activity seems to be the main driver of Tesla stock today. And part of the reason I'm so bullish at this point, so excited really about the rest of this week is if the option activity has driven us this far, in the last 2 days of trading, you could really start to see those shorts cover on those short positions, which could cause Thursday and Friday to really be some outsized bullish days for Tesla. Now, here on the day today, you have 230 different trades from hedge funds and institutions, totaling $157.1 million, with a positive order value of 94%. Keep in mind, this is only a half day of trading, guys, and it's this bullish. Like $157 million is a lot of money in a single stock on a half day's worth of options, and the day is not over yet, so this number is probably going to be closer to like 250 million, maybe even $300 million in Tesla options. Now, if we look at this Friday's expiration, here's where things get even more exciting, if that was even possible. The call volume today is 63.78%. The put volume today is 36.22%. That means you have about 2 times as many calls today being bought versus puts. That's a very bullish ratio. And if we look at the breakdown of this week's expiration and where the activity is, there was definitely a lot of activity today around that 450 call. 72,000 for volume there. At the 450-250, you had 15,000 for volume. Now at the 455 call, you have 20,000 for volume and 34,000 for volume at the 460 call. You have 13,000 for volume at the 465 call and 20,000 for volume at the 470 call. The $500 call as well is really garnering a lot of attention. Today, you have 42,000 for volume there. And what we've noticed recently is when you see Tesla have a good week, when Tesla is really being fueled by a gamma squeeze and option activity, those large expirations with the bulk of the activity, which in this case is the $500 call, tend to actually be reached and then exceeded that week. Okay, that's what tends to happen with a gamma squeeze. One level tends to lead to another, which tends to lead to another, which tends to lead to another. And it looks like if that plays out again, we could be at $500 per share by this upcoming Friday. Now, I guess the great part about that even is Thursday and Friday are not going to be the last bullish days for Tesla. As we really get into 2025 and you see investors start to allocate capital to stocks they think will do well in 2025, whether you're thinking about the best AI stock to own, that's clearly Tesla. Whether you're thinking about a growth stock to own, that is clearly Tesla. Or whether you like Tesla because of the lower priced Tesla models coming out, or clearly the robotaxi, the energy business, or other things that Tesla may do next year. There's so much to like with Tesla. The only bear case that I can really think of is for whatever reason FSD just fails and regulators do not give it approval. But then again, we already have Waymo that is operational, so that seems unlikely. The other kind of bear thesis for next year, if you wanted to try to create one, is we go into a recession in which Tesla's a very interest rate sensitive company. So even if we did go into a recession, as long as it wasn't a deep like '08 style recession again, you're probably going to see Tesla that can actually do very well in a shallow recessionary environment, since Tesla buyers tend to be higher income earners anyways, which are typically not the first jobs that are lost during a recession, and interest rates are going to come down, making things more affordable. I mean, that's even in the bear case. So really, if you're bearish on Tesla next year, you have to be hoping the FSD fails or we have a deep recession, which is very much out of consensus. So again, back to the main point, why would you want to continue to hold your short position you have gotten smoked on in 2024 into 2025? And that's a lot of the main reason why I think the next 2 days of trading could be exceptionally strong for Tesla. We could do 15% to the upside, and 15% to the upside from current levels would be putting you, let's say, about $520 per share or so. That's definitely not out of the question. And again, I do think Tesla's winning streak is going to continue into January with the January effect, and then you're probably going to get some nervousness, I would imagine, around the inauguration, January 20th. Now, here on the day today, considering it is a half day, it may be a little bit too soon to draw any conclusions of what short sellers are doing with their positions today, because you can see 486,000 shares that were covered on today and 760,000 shares that were borrowed. So it actually looks like you had close to 300,000 shares, at least so far today, that were actually on net sold short. But again, I don't think we kind of can draw conclusions from that until maybe markets close, give it a couple hours, and then we should get some more finalized data coming in. Now, short interest of free float is at 2.76%. $33.15 billion sold short in Tesla, totaling 76.98 million shares that are sold short. Some of the big news today includes China vehicle insurance registration numbers, where 17,600 new Teslas were insured in China last week. This is the fourth best week of Q4 so far. Also being reported, a massive $419 million Tesla Megapack battery energy storage system has just been completed by Melbourne Renewable Energy Hub. These 444 megapacks help form 3 giant battery components that will deliver 1.6 gigawatt hours of energy storage when they come online next year. That's enough energy to power 200,000 homes during peak periods, adding critical storage to Victoria's electricity grid. The entire project will cost $1.6 billion. Also being reported today, Tesla's FSD supervised V13.2.2.1 is now starting to roll out to Tesla owners with AI 4 or Hardware 4. This release includes a holiday update with FSD V13. And in big news for Hyundai EV drivers, starting Q1 2025, Hyundai will be sending you a free NACS adapter for your current Hyundai EV. That will give you access to 20,000 Tesla Superchargers, and the 2025 ION Q5 makes history as the first non-Tesla with a native NACS port. Tesla has extended its 5-year 0% interest loan incentive in China to the end of January 2025 from the end of December. Tesla is also offering a $1,370 discount for new Model Y buyers. Also being reported today, Tesla's mega factory in Shanghai is nearing completion of construction and preparation for a planned operation in the first quarter of next year. Construction took 7 months from groundbreaking to completion, 50% faster than Tesla's California Megapack factory construction. Now, there's a bit of a trigger warning here because Jim Cramer just said something new about Tesla. He said, quote, "Once you get a CEO with that kind of political influence, it's easy for the faithful to imagine unlimited possibilities. This means they're no longer constrained by the price to earnings multiple. They'll pay anything for Tesla, much higher than these prices. They're actually insensitive to price." Which I don't think that's political more than it is just how do you cap Tesla's expected future cash flow, right? Stocks go up based on the expectation of larger amounts of free cash flow in the future, okay? Presumably to pay dividends and do all that. How do you put a cap on Tesla's future free cash flow when you have so many growth endeavors that are massive, that are multitudes larger than Tesla's current business? Robotaxi, if that thing is operational and successful on a large scale in the US or anywhere else in the world, I mean, the total addressable market is just way too big to say Tesla should trade it 50 times or 30 times or 500 times. Like, you don't know because Tesla will grow into that valuation. The question really is, how fast will Tesla grow into that valuation and how successful will Tesla be? And clearly the market is a voting mechanism and people are voting that Tesla is going to be very successful. But again, with Tesla's market cap only about $1.5 trillion, it's not like people are betting that Tesla is going to be the most successful company. They're just betting that Tesla is going to have some success at the bare minimum. And then when you add optimists to that, the things just get absurdly crazy for Tesla, right? The modeling and the estimates that you could do 5, 10, 20 years from now are going to bring you to numbers that you wouldn't even recognize today for Tesla's revenue, free cash flow, and where the stock price could ultimately be. I think the question really is, how long do people want to invest in Tesla for that? How long is their time horizon? If their time horizon's 20 years, Tesla could go to thousands of dollars today. If the general market's time horizon is a year, that just changes things a little bit. If it increases to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, then that changes things as well. That will have partly to do with interest rates and the path of interest rates over the next coming year, as presumably the risk-free yield from the government comes down, investors lengthen their time horizon for growth stocks. This is something we will talk about in the next video, but it did feel appropriate to mention it here. Considering Jim Cramer says that, well, we're kind of insensitive to price, and price doesn't even matter anymore for Tesla. It definitely could matter, though. If Tesla were to fail or have a setback, it would start to matter. But again, I don't think that is in the bingo cards over the next couple of weeks. Tesla has now introduced Supercharger battery heating for V3 and V4 superchargers, enabling LFP vehicles to get back on the road up to 4 times faster. Quote, when plugging in, superchargers can now preheat batteries for Model 3 and Ys that are standard range, rear-wheel drive. This means you get back on the road faster in extreme cold conditions. Now, here on the day today, sentiment for Tesla over on Stocktwits is bullish at 56. Yesterday, it was bearish at 43. Message volume today is normal at 45. Yesterday, it was low at 43. And participation ratio today is high at 55. Tesla continues to run about 5,000 different ads with Google, and Tesla's global inventory numbers are falling even further today. Model Y falling down to about 4,100, the Model 3 at 2,700, Model X at 2,000, and the Model S at about 1,600, which is a great sign for this quarter that Tesla is running down inventory that could actually boost profitability. Search trend activity for Tesla as well, looking at this worldwide chart, is accelerating into the end of this year. Again, I think part of this has to do with the expected elimination of the $7,500 tax credit next year. I think a lot of people, at least in the US, are opting to buy that Tesla a little bit earlier than they were previously going to because of that tax credit coming to an end, or presumed to come to an end. The Model Y went from 64 to 69. That's a big jump. Cybertruck went from 73 to 77. Model 3 went from 55 to 57. Model S actually fell a little bit from 24 down to 23. And the Model X is unchanged at 16. Overall, very solid search trend data that we are seeing. Now we want to look at specifically the United States. And things are accelerating here as well. Cybertruck went from 49, still at 49. The Model Y went from 35, now it's at 37. The Model 3 went from 24 to 28, so that's a big jump. The Model S dropped from 14 to 13, but the Model X went from 11 up to 12. So very strong levels of search trend data for worldwide and for US specifically. A look at the CNN Fear and Greed Index today is coming in at 33, which is a little bit better than yesterday's close at 30, but still, I mean, you're still in a pretty damn fearful place for markets. The percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average is at 34%, up 1.3% today. And again, the last time you were this low was the yen carry trade freakout when the S&P fell 10%. This hit its low on August 5th, okay, and you hit a low of about 31% of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average, which is pretty much exactly where we were yesterday. And then back in April of 2024, when we had a 7% drawdown in markets, you also hit a similar level, about, 31% or so of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average. So what I said in the last video is pretty simple. Whenever you are this bearish on markets, whenever there's 30% of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average, you need to go out, close your eyes, and buy something. Okay, now I think Tesla is going to do a lot better than other stocks. So if you like Tesla, I think that's a really good move at this point heading into 2025. But when markets are this bearish, you got to go buy something because we are due for a bit of a reversal. And that is what is happening today. The NASDAQ up 1.1%, S&P up 0.83%, the Dow is up 0.6%, the Russell 2000 is up 0.41%. If we look at the RSP, the equal weight S&P, although it's not doing as well as the market cap weighted S&P, again, that's up 0.85%. The RSP, the equal weight S&P, is up 0.46%. So you are seeing a little bit of broad participation today in our markets, and it's starting to look like we may actually stage a comeback, which is good to see. And I especially think January, we're going to see a lot of that tax loss harvesting get bought back. So I think that's where you see the broadening out, is really when we get into 2025. And I think that will also work to Tesla's benefit as people, again, position into Tesla, because Tesla's going to have a very strong year next year. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this information down below in the comments section. Thank you for supporting this channel, and congratulations if you're watching this video on Christmas Eve. You are doing something. You are going somewhere with your life and doing this all presumably for your family. So they also thank you. If they don't say it to you, I will say it for them. They thank you for what you are doing. Nonetheless, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy Christmas Eve with your family, and I will see you in the next one.